All right, everybody, welcome back to Heath Barn. Hope we're all having a great day. This episode was a blast. If you are a Cardinal fan or not, doesn't matter who you root for, but if you frequent or have been to Busch Stadium, Ballpark Village, etc., you may know him as that one guy, but he is the in-stadium MC for the St. Louis Cardinals. He does all the pregame, postgame stuff at Ballpark Village. It is Todd Thomas. Let's see how this all worked out. He picked me up at my hotel. We went to Ballpark Village to this cool spot we talk about in the pod, and we knocked out a podcast before he got to work. So it was a lot of fun. If anybody that knows him and sees him around the stadium on the Jumbotron doing things for the Cardinals during the game, you see him doing pregame and postgame stuff at Ballpark Village. When you see him and you see him on the mic and all that stuff, he's a lot of fun. Well, that's exactly how he was on this pod. We talk about how he got started doing that. We talk about, where he was from, where he grew up, which is relatively close to where I grew up. So that was fun, both from teeny tiny towns. So we get into all that. I mean, hell, he even gets into a couple embarrassing junior high track stories, which who doesn't have some of those? But we also, just a lot of stories from when he's from inside the stadium, from outside the stadium. Just a lot of really, really fun stuff. So I felt like it was great having him on. I'd love to have him on again. Maybe we can work out a thing where every time we go down there to watch the Cardinals, he can hop on because he was a lot of fun. So easy listen, very fun listen. He tells great stories. I don't even want to get into them because I don't want to give anything away. Just may involve a mullet here and there, things like that. So that's all. That's the only little taste I'll give you here. But big shout out to Todd Thomas. Thank you very much for listening, and let's go. All right, here we are, here with Todd Thomas. How's it going?
It's going fantastic. It's a really busy weekend, but that's kind of normal for me most of the time.
Yeah, this is really cool. I'll take a picture of this whenever we're done, but maybe explain, can you kind of tell, because can you tell people where we are right now?
Yeah, so we're at one of my away from homes, Ballpark Village.
Yes.
And we're specifically in the Budweiser Brewhouse Crown Room, which is the second floor. It's kind of a private area sometimes. People can rent it out. They open it up on weekends, and so if you hear a lot of things in the background, it might be a bartender getting ready or whatever. But as you look around the room, it's kind of a club.
Yeah.
A neat atmosphere. There's kind of stuff all around, but this is where we're at.
Very cool. Now we are here. Let's see here. We got a 3:15 start today, and then tomorrow we got a 1:15 game for the Cardinals. So, but let's say nobody knows anything about Todd Thomas or anything like that. Like, how did you? Well, just as far as getting started here, if you have like an official title here with the Cardinals or anything like that, what would it be? And kind of explain to people what you do around the ballpark, what you do here at Ballpark Village, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, certainly. So, regarding my job with the Cardinals, this is my 27th season, and people know me as that one guy. That's what it says on the back of my jersey. And what that one guy does is he's the in-game MC for the Cardinals. So every game that I work, which is typically north of 70 games out of 81, if there's playoffs, I'll do that. But so at every game that I work, I'm in the stands with a microphone, and in between innings, cameras with me and a fan that I pick out, and we do game shows on the scoreboard, and I interview them, and it's typically really fun. I try to make it engaging and do all kinds of stuff like that. And then outside of that, then why we're here at Ballpark Village is because before every game, I also host a pregame show where I walk around and can be, let's say at Busch Stadium, I'm PG-13.
Yeah.
Over here at Ballpark Village, I can be a little bit more,
Loose,
yeah. And so it's really fun to be here before the game, then go over to do the game, and then sometimes then I'll even DJ afterwards back over here at one of the spots. Like last night, Friday night after the game, I DJ'd out on the Budweiser beer garden. Sometimes I'm outside in the courtyard. Sometimes I'll be on the stage in the main area. So they've got lots of different entertainment areas here at Ballpark Village. But for the Cardinals specifically, I'll do 2 to 5 live segments, and you'll only see me in between innings on the big screen. Like people would never see me if they're watching a game at home or anything like that.
Right. And then we were talking about a little bit beforehand, but you're at Ballpark Village now. But before, what year did Ballpark Village get? I'm trying to think.
Man, that's a great question.
I know. I know. I shouldn't even ask because it's going to bother me.
Yeah.
But before, okay.
Pretend we know.
Right. Exactly. but before that, you were. Where did you say you were at for some of the pre and post game stuff?
So let's do it like this. My first year as the in-game MC for the Cardinals was in 1997, and at that point in time, I had started my DJ business in 1995. Actually, it was 1996. I got married in 95. I started my DJ business in 96 called Porta Party DJs. And then in 97, or actually the Rams moved here in 96. Mm-hmm. And a friend of mine was a local radio DJ, and he got asked to play the music during the games for the home Rams games at Edward Jones Dome. He couldn't do it because of, actually it was a TWA Dome back then if you think about it. But anyway, he couldn't do it, suggested me. They ended up bringing a guy from LA to do that job. After the season was over, I called the person that I had the initial contact with, that was in late March, and said, hey, are you going to hire for next year? And they said, oh, glad you called. We're actually hiring someone this week, and we've got your name that we're interested in. So I got nervous. I'm like, I don't know what this job entails. Yeah. I know how to play music at a wedding or at a bar, but I don't know how to play music at a game. What software do you use? What hardware do you use? All that sort of stuff. So I called the Cardinals, and that was on a Friday. And the guy that I called and talked with the Cardinals to ask about that job said, well, we're looking to maybe hire someone here. So he goes, let's talk on Monday. So we talked more on Monday. We set up an interview in person on Wednesday. And then he hired me on Friday, and opening day was the following Monday.
Oh, man.
So I literally got my job with the Cardinals in a week's time. No job was posted anywhere. They didn't even know what they were looking for. But I came calling about another thing. They started asking about me. They came and saw me at work. They're like, man, we want to implement you somehow into what we do.
Yeah.
And never got the job with the Rams, which is funny. So
right.
Here I am 27 years later doing the same thing. So it initially started for me just doing one segment during a game. I think it was the Southwest Airlines Family of the Game. That's all they really had me to do.
Yeah.
Well, they quickly discovered that, nothing against our PA guy, John Hewlett, but
right.
having a person out in the stands, being interactive,
definitely
being able to ad lib, having fun, engaging with the crowd was a bit more engaging and a bit more fun and more exciting than just a voiceover,
definitely,
a picture of someone on the screen. So then they started giving me more things to do, and so by the end of the season, I was doing 4, 5, 6 things in between innings during the game.
Yeah.
At the end of that season, the Blues called me. And actually, not specifically the Blues, but Southwestern Bell was, with the current like AT&T.
Yeah.
So I did my first year. I worked for the Cardinals, and then after that season, I then also did one segment a game for the Blues. So I then went over there and just did this one thing. Well, same thing with them. They're realizing, because it was kind of new at this. Now
right.
every even college teams have me there, but back in the day, no one really did. I don't want to say I'm a pioneer in it, but
right.
It was typically, if anyone did what I was doing, it was like a local radio DJ that they'd bring out, and he'd do some shenanigans or whatnot. But I kind of developed a niche in St. Louis, and then of course I started doing so for the Cardinals and the Blues. I did both for about 6 years.
Yeah.
And then when the hockey went on strike in the early 2000s, I didn't come back because they wanted me to be full time, and I'm like, I can't do both of that. So I know that's a really long answer to your simple
yeah, but that's really cool though. Okay, so when you interviewed and you got it like within a week, you said,
yeah,
like what did that entail? Because, well, I mean, just I guess what did that entail when you went in there? I mean,
well, basically, I didn't go in there. We met at a bar and had a beer and lunch,
right.
and just basically talked about what I did and my background. And his name's Tony Simakaitis, who he's got an interesting story as well. I mean, he started out as a bat boy,
Yeah.
and then moved in. He was Fredbird, and moved from Fredbird into he's still now is
Don't tell my son that, man. He thinks he's. We can't be saying shit.
that's
really okay. That's fun. That's funny.
Yeah, and then he moved into the job that he's moved up still, but he's like head of kind of entertainment and scoreboard operations and all that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So he's the guy that hired me initially.
Yeah, I can't imagine a game now without things like that in between innings.
Right. I mean, the way that I always have sold what I do and what we Fredbird and Team Fredbird and what I do and all that sort of stuff. We love what we do and it's fun. But we know that people aren't there to see us. They're there to see the team, and we just can add an entertainment value, when the team's not on the field, between innings to give some fans some fun.
Right. I was going to tell you, too, a quick story. Like, it was 2004, and the Cardinals had their first, Cardinal campout.
Oh,
and
those are my favorite.
Yeah. Okay, but see, I completely misread this whole thing because, me and my buddy, I was single at the time, and I thought, hey, man, I was thinking it was going to be more of a party kind of atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
So me and my buddy go down there, and we get in line, and it's us and just, nothing but married couples and their young children, and we're like, oh, shit. So we went up there to the smorgasbord or whatever, and, we're like, well, we'll just get a beer and have the smorgasbord. So you come up, and the Jumbotron thing comes on, and you were like, hey, I want to get you guys on here, and I just scooted over. I'm like, I don't want to be on there, but my buddy's standing there, and he was eating spaghetti or something, had a full beer, and you're just like, well, as you can see, and you're pointing out all the food you got and stuff like that, and there's also delicious, Anheuser-Busch, whatever, and he just hammered it and drank it one drink and just gave it back
funny.
to
That kind of has been my thing a little bit, is kind of that shock value. Now, granted, I would never do that at a game.
Right,
This was a different thing, it was overnight. I mean, those that don't know, this was a really cool event, and probably one of my favorites. I believe it was sponsored by Bass Pro or someone like that, but basically, you paid to camp out on the field, and it was typically they would do it when the Cardinals were on the West Coast, so that the game was a late game, and they'd play the game on the screen, and you'd pitch
I even remember that night they were playing the Dodgers.
And you get to go out there, and so your ticket price included, open, food buffet, and
former Cardinals make breakfast for you and stuff.
And
cool.
then you get to go, tours, and the thing that I remember about that is I had young kids. I was that married, with kids, but I had maybe a 7-year-old, 6-year-old, and 3-year-old that. And my wife, and we pitched a tent, and I did the whole thing, and it was kind of part of the deal. I got to do it, but I will never forget. My son Tyler loved baseball. He lived baseball, and in the morning we got up, and I had a baseball, and he had a glove, and we went out on the warning track, and I bet I threw 50 baseballs where he would.
Try to rob it.
Try to go catch it to get he thought he was Jim Edmonds. He couldn't obviously jump off, but catching it at the wall and bounce into it. And then I made a video, a slow motion video where he caught one. It was so exciting.
Yeah,
that's a big memory for me. Was that camp out? That was really fun.
Yeah, I wish they still did that. It'd make a lot more sense for me to do it now.
I think the reason they don't do it now is just because during the season, we have an impeccable field, and the grounds crew, they're real anal about how good that field looks, and I think they weren't happy with the way in which it was, when they came back after the homestand or after being gone on the road. It's like all these people were on the field, all that sort of thing. So I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Well, and I just remember too, just sleeping right in the grass right there behind shortstop, and just but it's funny because we have that memory, and my buddy still brings that up about how you did that too. It's see, so even though to you it's nothing, but it's we're like, oh man, so it's good. That's
and I used to do it a lot more pre-COVID because it was okay just to grab someone's beer and drink it, but then it was okay, well, now you're getting all kinds of germs and all that, but I don't really care all that much.
No kidding. So were you a Cardinal fan growing up and everything? Or?
I was, I grew up in central Illinois between Champaign and Decatur in a small town called Bement, which I'm certain that you're familiar with, being from Illinois as well. And
now it is, what's the name of their school now? Because they co-opt with
Well, they co-op football and some sports with Cerro Gordo.
Right, yeah.
And Cerro Gordo B-Mets. And at one point...
Ocala Valley, maybe
little Ocala, what I grew up in.
Right, yeah.
And then they moved around some, but they were South Piatt for a little bit with Atwood Hammond.
Right.
But now they're back with Cerro Gordo, and it's just... B-Met has their own school. Cerro Gordo has their own school, but they co-op on some sports. But I grew up there. I graduated high school in 1988. My parents still live in B-Met. So I grew up there, and that's 50-50 Cardinals Cubs territory.
Oh yeah.
And to be honest, my grandma on my mom's side was a Cubs fan, and I swear that my dad and mom were Cubs fans, but they weren't like super into baseball. I feel like it's kind of a little vague at that point, because we're talking like late 70s. I'm 8, 9, 10 years old. But here's what the changing point for our family is my dad had a really good job in town. He managed the grain elevator and was kind of involved in the school, and was at this point president of what was called the B-Mint Drug Awareness Program. Yeah. And they had got some money from the government or whatever, and were able to hire some speakers to come to our school. And Darryl Porter, who had gotten traded from Royals to the Cardinals between the 81 and 82 season, had some issues and needed to, I guess, fulfill his obligation of whatever he had to do to get right with MLB. Right. And so he was on a circuit of where he was going and talking to schools about staying off drugs and not drinking, all that sort of thing. Well, he spoke to the student body in the morning, but at night he was doing an open forum or whatever to the parents as well. So he needed a place to hang out during the day. Well, my dad was the president of the thing. So I come home from school, and Darryl Porter's hanging out at my house. That's crazy. This is a town of 1,600 people. Oh, yeah. Right? So I was like, they're casting me out. So my brother and I think I'm in 6th grade at this point. He eats dinner with us, and then he goes up to the school. And so he leaves, and like, that won my parents over, but I already was a Cardinal fan. So needless to say, what happens in 1982. Yep. Who is the MVP of the World Series is Darryl Porter. That's crazy. So we have this is a good and a bad story on Darryl Porter. So we then come down. He says, "Oh yeah, come down, look me up at the game, whatever." This, that. Of course, that's what he should say. But so we come down, hot summer day in July, with this picture of me and my brother. Want him to sign it. And he looks over and like waves, and we'll ask him to sign it. And he just kind of just shunned us. The reality of MLB, right? Oh yeah, definitely. But man, I can't imagine like, hey, there's a Major League Baseball player at my house. Right. Like for our little big towns. So from there on, and then my dad then starts becoming kind of bigger in the industry, and then getting tickets and stuff through his work. And so he was always coming down to St. Louis, and like they were at several of the games during the World Series. So since then, my parents are huge Cardinal fans. Yeah. I mean, and my mom's probably my biggest fan. So. But I mean, as far as so after high school though, like what got you to down here to this area? I mean, so I went to college down in Carbondale at SIU Carbondale, and started out in radio television. I thought I wanted to be a radio DJ or on-air personality, and switched over to speech communications. Graduated in '92. And when I knew that I didn't want to move back to St. Louis, I needed to be in a decently sized city, and sort of the option was either Chicago or St. Louis, and St. Louis made more sense. And actually moved home first, didn't have a job, ended up getting one where I lived in Collinsville, Illinois, and worked in the grain industry because I couldn't find anything in my field during the day, and then I was miserable. I loved the people there, but the job was not me. Right. And looked in the want ads every day, and I saw this one ad that said, "Are you funny? Can you sing? Are you engaging? This is the job." So I interviewed, and on the landing in St. Louis, they were opening a bar called the Dirtwater Fox, and this is when karaoke was just starting out. Yeah. So basically, this was a bar that was going to open up, and they needed a DJ, they needed an MC, and they were going to do karaoke. So I interviewed. They loved me. They flew us down to New Orleans, got trained. So for about 3 months, I'm doing both jobs. I'm working miserable day job, and like my dream, loving what I'm doing at night. And quickly, we realized I couldn't do both. And my boss at my day job said, "Look, He goes, I've seen you at night. This is your thing. I don't want to hold you back, but you can't do both. You need to decide. And so I said, thank you. We shook hands, said, see you later. And then I became the entertainment director at this bar. That led me into the entertainment industry, which is what I'm doing today.
Gotcha.
I did that for several years. Ended up getting fired. That's a whole story in and of itself. But left and then started my DJ business, party DJs, and then it's never been any looking back. And so all of those things kind of have led to where I'm at today, which is my 27th season of the Cardinals and 28 years of having my DJ business, and all things are great, and I love it, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, as far as if you're a fan, Darryl Porter notwithstanding, do you have I don't want to say like a Mount Rushmore, but maybe like your favorite Cardinal players over the years? Like, also, do you get to interact with them much at all, or do you?
Yeah. So more so. Back in the day, when I say back in the day, I'm going back to prior to the early 2000s, mid 2000s. I'm not going to know the exact dates or the year, but about the time that some things went down, we had Josh Hancock, who was in a wreck and passed away, and Tony La Russa, who had a DWI.
Yeah.
About that time. The Cardinals kind of, it's kind of like, it was not at all odd to go over to patios where I'd DJ after a game, and there'd be tons of Cardinal players over there, and they'd be drinking, and next thing you know, you got Rick Ankiel behind the bar pouring booze and
yeah, man, we used to go there. I never got to see that stuff.
It was a party.
Yeah,
and I think about all that time, and it was like the wild, wild west,
right?
And I think the time was it was the right time to stop it. But and so basically what happened is, they just kind of put a kibosh on, hey, players aren't to go out and hang out anymore. So what I'm saying is that back then, Fernando Vina and Fernando Tatis and, a bunch of the players would come over, Jim Edmonds, they would be a part and hang out, and, they would kind of have their area, but they were a part of being out, and I knew them a lot then.
Yeah.
Since then, since there's not them going out and hanging out, I don't have that much interaction. Also, back then, where we would hang out during the game in Old Busch was right by the clubhouse. So I'd walk through there and I'd see people and all that sort of thing. So lots of things have changed, and I don't have that much interaction with them anymore. But my Mount Rushmore would include Ozzie Smith, Tommy Herr, Mike Matheny, and Adam Wainwright. And
nice.
Those have no reason other than they're for Todd Thomas. Tommy Herr was a second baseman. I played second base.
Yeah.
He played for the team. I played for it. That's the reason he's there.
Right.
Adam Wainwright, he's there because, the last several years that I've worked for the Cardinals, I've gotten to know him a little bit and seen what he does on and off the field. What he does on the field, his body of work is just, that speaks for itself. But he's an amazing guy.
Yeah.
He's super nice, approachable. Love that about him.
Yeah.
Mike Matheny, as a player, as a coach, all that, he is probably the single nicest person, not guy, not Cardinal player, but person I have ever met. His last year in the league, I think he was playing for the Giants, and he was on the IL.
Yeah, he got a concussion, right? That slowed him down there at the end.
And they were playing here in St. Louis, and he wasn't even dressing, but he lives in St. Louis. And I'm walking. This is like one of the last games of the year, and I'm walking on a Sunday morning. I'm dragging ass because I gotta, I've been out late working, and I'm coming up to do this ice cream sundaes thing, and it's like miserable. It's hot. Got my backpack on. I'm walking from south of the stadium, from where I parked to the stadium, and this big white double cab dually diesel tinted window truck pulls over to the side. Window rolls down. So Mike Matheny goes, "Hey Todd, hop in. I'll give you a ride." We hadn't really even met before, right?
Yeah.
He knew me from the Cardinals, and it's kind of a funny thing too. I'll tell another story about that. But so I hop in, and he acts like we're best friends. And he says, "Hey, how you been doing? What's been going on?" Because he'd been away, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh my God!" So he comes in and pulls in where the players park and drops me right off, and I walk in. I'm like, "That was one of the coolest things."
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's great.
And then Ozzie Smith, of course, because he's one of the greatest.
Because he's Ozzie. What was I going to say about Matheny? He's whenever he was playing. Oh no, I know what I was going to say. Did you read his when he was coaching Little League. Did you ever read the manifesto thing that came out?
I didn't, but the Cliff Notes were told to me, and I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's one of the best things I've ever read in my life. Because I've coached basketball like at all levels, but like
so have I.
Youth sports.
And
my gosh,
I get the gist of what he's talking about, and that's kind of how I modeled what I did as well.
Right. Yeah. So then, you said you played second base.
Well, yeah.
What did you play? So what kind of player were you? Did you play anything else besides baseball?
Yeah, so growing up,
Yeah.
In little old Bement, Illinois, we had basically 4 sports you could do. Baseball, football, basketball, and track.
Oh, yeah.
And I hated track. I didn't like to run. I still don't like to run.
Yeah.
But it was kind of mandatory if you were in sports that you had to do that as well. And football, basketball, and baseball, those was what I played. I played all through high school. But I got a great track story for you. Can I?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so this is humiliating. I'm in 8th grade, and we go to this big meet in Monticello, and Bement has a cinder track.
Yes,
cinders, right?
That's what. Yeah.
Monticello's got a really nice big, Olympic track type thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so. We have to pick up a few more events. The only thing I was at least decent at was low hurdles, the 110 low hurdles.
Yeah.
Well, they have this new event they were doing that year called the shuttle or the shuttle relay or something like that. But anyway, so you go down. There was 4 guys. You go down, and then another guy would come back. You go down, another guy would come back.
Yeah.
So I did the
that didn't stick around very long because I don't remember that. I don't remember
well,
that.
hey, keep in mind, you're not coming back in the same lane because that would be bad. You came back in a different one. But anyway, by the way, my team set a record.
Yeah.
It was the first time they did it, but we won that. But it was so 110 low hurdles, 110 relay, and I needed to pick up 2 other events.
Yeah.
So it was a 400 and the triple jump. Okay, now keep in mind, I'm not fast, nor can I jump, but they needed another body, and I picked up the event.
Right.
So at our track, we also have a little bitty runway and just a little sand pit.
Yeah.
So I practiced there. It's right, left, and you jump into the pit. So I get now to Monticello, and I get out. I put my mark down. I'm seeing all these guys that are rocking back and forth. They're doing pretty good jumps, and I'm like
going through the process.
Yeah, going through the little process. I'm like, I'm not that fast. So I just stood there, just straight up, and I just took off. Well, I take off for my first jump, and right, left, I jump, and I don't even make it to the sand. I landed on the runway, and so I'm like, I scratched myself for the other 2 jumps. I'm like, this is embarrassing. So if that's not bad enough. It comes time. Luckily, I think, and I might, it's a little hazy. This is 8th grade, but I feel like that 110 shuttle relay was in between my triple jump and my 400 experience. Otherwise, I may have left and not ever done the hurdles because this is even more humiliating. For the 400 now, they do a staggered start, and I was in lane 8.
Oh, yeah.
So when you're in lane 8, you're all the way out in front.
And 400s are like the hardest one because I really like the mile 800, but 400's the toughest one in my opinion because it's like you're basically going as hard as you can. It's in between a sprint and distance, so it's you're trying to sprint the whole thing basically.
You are putting the nail on the head because I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right.
And I come out of the block, and there's a pretty good wind that day. And so I come out sprinting, and the first straightaway, the wind's at my back. And I'm like, I bet for the first 200 of that event, they probably thought I was like breaking a world record. I was so fast, people way behind me. Well, now all of a sudden, my legs are starting to get tired, and I come around the bend. Well, then I got the last 100 to go down the straightaway, and that wind's in my face. And 1 guy passes me, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it was so bad that, when they run like the 2 mile and you're waiting for that last kid to finish, they're like, waiting for the start line. I felt like that's the way they were waiting for me to finish for the 400. It was so terrible. But anyway, but I as bad as I was at track and field, and that was terrible. I played basketball, baseball, and football, and we had some pretty good teams.
Yeah.
My senior year was probably the highlight. My football team made it to the past the quarterfinals. We ended up getting ramrodded by Lexington, but we played Martinsville, and we played at Martinsville, and we went over there and steamrolled them.
Really?
And that was one of the greatest games ever.
Yeah. There's I don't want to drop names on here and stuff like that, but Martinsville, they had some real good in the 80s. They had some real good basketball players.
Well, there was a basketball player a little bit older than me. There was the greatest shooter I've ever seen, Jeff Lorenzen, I think.
Jeff Lorenzen, yeah. He played for Indiana State.
Yeah, and he played before the three-pointer. So I don't even know what kind of records he could have set. Because we played against him. That area is a little out of the area that we're in, but we played in the Shiloh Holiday Tournament every Christmas. And so we'd go over there and play Westville, Marshall, Oakville.
And like where Crispin,
Crispin.
where I'm from. Yeah.
Okay, here's how I describe Crispin, if I remember correctly.
I was only on. I'm a smart ass, and we had the state record for most consecutive 20-win seasons, and I'm always like a smart ass. I'm like, I was only on 4 of them though, but whatever. But,
right on.
Yeah.
What I remember about Crispin, tell me if I'm right.
All right.
And I hope I'm not insulting anyone, but I
don't get offended.
I felt like there were 4 guys that were about 5'10" to 6 feet tall, and then 1 giant.
Yeah.
And the guys could all shoot, and that big guy just scored in. And then they all had a really kind of a weird haircut.
Yeah, Coach used to make them all get kind of buzzed.
Yeah, like a bowl cut or something was weird about it. Yeah,
they were. Yeah,
am I remembering that right?
Yeah, I can picture some bowl cuts back then. Yeah, but there was that was back when I was little. I think we even talked about this. When I was little, I'd go to that holiday tournament. It was always real fun. But I remember in Martinsville, I have a memory about that Lorenzen playing, and I was in the 2nd grade, and they were playing, because I went to Shiloh K through 5, then moved to Crispin 6th grade. And then now, like I said, now we just moved back, and my son's going to go to Shiloh. But I remember looking up at, it was 88-44, and we were just started learning multiplication. And I looked at my mom, who was a teacher, and I was like, hey, they got twice as many points as us. And she's like, yeah, I have that memory, 88-44. Yeah.
It's a good education.
Yeah, yeah, but...
Hey, is Newman over by you guys? In that area?
Yeah, and now Newman is Shiloh too. So I graduated in '96, and I remember my sophomore year, I think it was the last year, we played Newman, and then my junior year they co-opted with Shiloh. So yeah.
There was a guy a couple years older than me. He was probably 86 or 85 graduate. His name, I don't remember his first name, but his last name was Trapani. And he was a man child. He was like what I would envision Albert Pujols looking like in high school.
Yeah.
He had a hairy chest and big hairy arms, and those helmets that they'd wear, with 2 earpieces, barely fit on him. And he had a wood bat, and he would hit bombs. I mean, he was it was the craziest thing ever. This Trapani guy. We used to always make fun of him.
Yeah, it's fun too because I'm supposed to have. Marcus Griffin, he played for Illinois, went to Peoria Manual, that. He's supposed to be coming on here next week, and to him, it's nothing. But my sophomore, junior year, we played them in that Topper Classic in Danville, and to them, it's who cares, whatever. But to us, it's man, we get to play Manual, and that's what I was saying with you. You get to meet all these Cardinal players, you get to do all this cool stuff, and to people that don't get to do that, it's man, that's really awesome. But it made our year to be man, we got to play against them, and none of them give a shit. Because it's just we're just gonna, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing of why you see in sports a lot of times, these teams that, the underdog is either, it's sometimes you can't overlook them, right? Because they've nothing to lose, and they're this is their biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
So, for instance, my daughter, she's going to be a junior at Alabama. I imagine if you were, Alabama State or Middle Tennessee State, you're going to play them, you may have no chance. But the fact of the matter is that you do have a chance because you're playing them. And that's all it needs is just the chance. And you never know what's going to happen on any given day, right?
Yeah, but it's also just kind of relates to the fact of us being from little teeny tiny towns.
Yeah.
And we have these stories I got to play against Manual, and, but, well, let's see here. We can kind of start to wind down a little bit here, but I know you got stuff to do. But do you have a story in stadium that kind of sticks out? It could be really, really funny. It could be really touching. It could be whatever, just a story that's happened in the stadium while you're doing your job that stands out to you. That
could I tell a few?
Oh yeah, okay. Definitely.
All right.
And then I'll get to the stuff you've seen in here too.
Okay. I would probably say. The first one that always comes to mind is when we won the World Series in 2006.
Yeah.
So at that point in time, I've got a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and we so there's a World Series parade.
Yeah.
And I own a DJ business, and I was asked by the Cardinals to put 3 separate DJ systems on a float playing music as people went along.
Yeah.
One of them I got to be on, and we had this confetti cannon. And so we're playing music. I'm with my boss, Tony. He's loading up the confetti cannon. I'm on the microphone, and we're going through, just sea of people. Now, my wife and kids are on this other float with all the other players and or not players, but families of the people that work for the Cardinals.
Yeah.
So they were in heaven too, right?
Right.
So much fun. Well, so we're going through this whole thing, and I'm just losing my voice. It's so much fun. The cool thing about that is that we literally could have played 2 songs the entire time, because every 2 minutes you're in a different area. So it's not like you're in one place. You're moving along a parade route. So you could just keep doing the same stuff over and over. Well, anyway, after the parade, we get to the stadium, and now we're in the green seats behind home plate. My family's there. We're hanging out. Now we're getting ready to watch the trophy presentation. And I don't remember the exact time, but let's say it's 3:20, and at 3:30, the trophy is going to come in on the Clydesdales.
Yeah.
Well, my boss says to me, he goes, "Hey, we got 10 minutes to do something here. And it's, you couldn't put in more people in
So you
Busch
needed
Stadium.
like a 10-minute filler, basically.
Yeah, get this crowd pumped up," he basically
Yeah.
said. So I called upstairs to the guy that plays the music, and I told him what I was going to do. So there's this big stage sitting right at second base, and there's a microphone stand, a microphone at it.
Yeah.
Now keep in mind, we just won the World Series. We just had this parade. The place is packed.
48,000 people in there,
It's
probably,
just
yeah.
electric.
Yeah.
And I'm the first one that gets to stand up to the microphone and talk to these people.
Yeah.
So I get up to the mic and go, "We are the champions of the world," and the place just erupts.
Yeah,
I get the hair stands up on the back of my neck, even
Yeah.
just retelling the story.
Yeah.
And the place just erupts. I go,
Yeah.
"We are the champions of the world." And again, they do. I go, "I'm going to say it 2 more times. You say it with me. We are the champions of the world." They go, "We are the," and I stop. They go, "The champions of the world." I go,
Yeah.
they go, "Now make some noise."
Yeah.
And I don't know what decibel it was, but it blew the roof off of anything around. And then the guy upstairs played Celebration.
Yeah.
Fredberg comes out. That was just amazing.
Oh,
I was the one
yeah.
to get to talk
Oh,
to him.
absolutely.
So that will forever be one of the coolest things.
Yeah.
On a side note, one of the other things that's kind of funny is, and this happened at Patios during one of the playoff runs, it would have had to have been during a Game 7 of an NLCS, because there was this guy that kept coming around who had this mullet.
Yeah.
And
Before back when they weren't stylish yet.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was totally like Camaro hair is what I called it. But
They've made a
so we'd have
ridiculous
these
comeback.
parties before the game and after the game. They closed down the street by Patios, and then this is before a game. And anyway, and we started chanting mullet man," or whatever, and he'd get on stage. I interview him, and now this is at a bar. This had nothing to do with the Cardinals. And so anyway, I said something about if he would let me cut his mullet,
Oh, shit.
and we won, that I would get him tickets to a World Series game.
Oh, my. Yeah.
And so he said yes, he would, or whatever. So anyway, so we win. And so after the game, I bring him on stage, and he kind of backs out of it. And so I said, "Okay, whatever." And so we continue on playing music, but we're going to the World Series.
Yeah.
So then later, his buddy comes up and says, "Hey, he'll do it now." And I said, "Well, hold on. I had offered the World Series tickets before. Now, keep in mind, this was my way out, because there's no way I was going to be able to get him World Series tickets."
Yeah.
But I was done, right?
Yeah.
So now I say, well, that offer's not on the table anymore, but I will give him tickets to a game next season, four good tickets to a game the next
Right.
year. But no World Series tickets.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Okay, he'll do it anyway." So I said, "Again, you agree, right?" He says, "Yeah." I can tell you've been drinking.
Oh,
So I get
definitely.
him on
You
stage,
gotta catch
they
him a little later in the night
They
for-
start
yeah.
chanting "Mullet Man," and I get a pair of scissors, and I knew I wasn't going to give him a nice cut. I just hacked this shit off. I grabbed the hair, and the place is going crazy. It was awesome. So anyway, so I give him my business card, and that's a Thursday night, I believe, because then Friday, about 12, I get a call from this guy saying, "Hey, I want my World Series tickets."
Oh,
I said,
my.
No, you don't remember it. And he goes, "Oh, no, you promised me." I said, "No, I didn't promise you." So he goes, "Well, I'm going to call Contact 2. Now, Contact 2 is a local TV station that goes out and does like a investigative report on something, and I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
please call Contact 2. How great of a story would this be for me? What did you do? I cut this guy's mullet on stage. You know, I mean, that would be the greatest publicity for me in the world. So, please call them.
So he just got hammered up, and
he got
and then he was willing to do it, but he didn't remember the tickets.
He did not remember that.
Gotcha.
Okay, so then he threatened me,
Jeez.
and what scared me a little bit was that he had my business card. He knew where I lived and all that. And he was kind of making some threats, all that sort of thing. So I kind of was nervous through the weekend, and then this is the greatest ending to the story. So Monday afternoon, I get a call from the guy. He goes, "Hey, I want to call and apologize." He goes, "So I, after you cut my mullet off," he goes, "I got home and got really drunk and started drinking tequila and woke up and was really mad, and I didn't remember anything about you. You know, all I remembered was that I was going to get the World Series tickets, but I do remember you saying that." He goes, "But I got to tell you," he goes, "I went into the shop this morning and all the guys at the shop were saying how good my hair looked."
Exactly.
Oh my God! Oh, it was so funny.
That's really good. Oh man, yeah. That I can't imagine like making it through the World Series and holding up this dude's hair. Like, yeah, that's pretty sweet. Anything else here at Ballpark Village? It's been a little along those like anything that's. Would you say that was at the patios?
Yeah, that was on a patio. You know, the thing about Ballpark Village that's great is just that, you know, it's such an entertainment venue that you know, people can come down here and you can go to Cardinals Nation, you can come over here to Budweiser Brew House. You know, we do all the stuff at Bally's. There's just so much for everyone to you know, come over before, during, or after the game. And, you know, there's been some really fun stuff that we've been able to do over here and meet some people and, you know, interviews and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, probably the greatest thing is, you know, the pep rallies that we do either for opening day or the playoffs. There's just nothing like it. And, you know, the crazy thing is that this year, the weather forecast wasn't looking that good. You come off of a bad season that the Cardinals had, and a lot of fans were down about what they did and didn't do in the offseason. And I wasn't expecting a very good opening day. And it was packed from the moment I started. And it was so much fun. And that's just a testament to Cardinal Nation, you know, coming out and having a good time and supporting the team.
I don't think it's being biased by saying it's got to be the best opening day in baseball. I mean, you know, and I mean, I know that some people get mad at us for not like elitist baseball fans or anything like that, but you know, who else has got an opening day like that, man? Where you got Clydesdale? It's just, it's just amazing. But, well, yeah, this has been fun, man. I was going to ask you one thing, too, that's off topic a little bit.
That's all right.
But it's not off topic. It's still baseball. But what about if you had to sit down and watch, like, one baseball movie, what would you pick?
A baseball movie?
Yeah.
Okay. It would probably be Major League.
That's mine as well, yeah.
Really?
I even did one of these pods, and me and my buddy did a Lou Brown line draft. Like, we'd draft lines and see who came out with the better thing. Yeah, because that's one of my favorite. That's one of my go-to voices whenever I'm impressions. Lou Brown.
Let me hear your impression.
Do what?
Let me hear your impression.
All right. Well, let me think. Plus, I got a cold, so I can go even deeper.
Yeah.
Like, nice catch, Ace. Don't ever fucking do it again.
Oh my God. Okay, that was my line too, but you do it way better than me.
Well, I think I got the first pick. I think I picked that one. What would you pick if you got the first line in that drink?
Oh my God. What's the line? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank here, but where that third baseman was
the Olay bullshit. Don't give me that Olay bullshit. Yeah, that's really good too. Yes, but that's what I did a baseball movie, like a top 10. We both named our top 10 list.
Name for me, because you know, I mean, that's obviously my number one, no matter what you're going to name after that. But give me 4 others that are even come up, like is the Natural one of them that typically comes up? Or
yeah, I mean, I had it in my top 10, but it's good. But when you look at it, I mean, do you think it holds up? It's a little cheesy at times.
Right. What are some other ones though? That
well, Bull Durham's up there, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what my actual list was, but to me, it's like Major League, and then there's a pretty decent size drop, just because it's funny.
Right.
Yeah.
It's great.
And what's funny is that at the time, you thought it was kind of far-fetched, but you know, that tanking deal, that's kind of happened since then.
I mean, you know, there's I guess the ones going not on the radar, but you know, I don't. Like, what's that? Angels in the Outfield, or you know, those sorts of ones. I think were a little after my time. Really, so I don't.
My buddy listed a couple things on that, like documentaries. There's one about Nolan Ryan. It's supposed to be really, really, really good.
I watched that. That is really good.
Yeah, he named that one. And then I listed just because it reminds me of my childhood. There's like this video. We had the VCR tape when I was like 7, but it was 1985. Just heck of a year. Like Cardinals, it's called Heck of a Year, and it's just like about a hour long, and it's like it goes through the whole 85 season, and it's and I remember, I listed that one because it's. If you find it on YouTube, it's good.
I got a funny side story for you if we still have time.
Yeah.
So I'm at Carbondale at SIU, and I'm in a fraternity, and there's this kind of Greek week type thing, and I ended up winning this contest, and the girl that won it from the sorority, her name was Dana Dinkinger.
Yeah.
And I knew I recognized the name, boy. And I didn't. It just never hit me, right? And so and I kind of knew of her just through a friend or whatever. And as we then met to do this thing where, I was the king, she was the queen of this week, we started talking, and I told her I was a Cardinal fan. She goes, "Oh, I hate you and your fans." I go, "Why is that?" And by the way, let me preface this. She had an Iowa plate that said UMP 11.
Oh, my gosh.
And she proceeded to tell me that her dad was Don Dinkinger, and they had to move in her childhood, like, 4 or 5 times because of death threats against her family because of him making that call in that series in '85.
Wow, that's a really good story. Jeez. So she went to Southern?
Yeah, she was down there.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, as soon as you said that last name, I knew who you were talking about. But man. All right, well. So, last thing we can talk about here real quick. So, like, maybe give them a idea of what your schedule's like here the next couple of days because, like, what you're going to be doing. Because we got a 3:15 start today.
Yeah, so let's just start from, let's say, Friday. So Friday, it was a 7:15 game.
Yeah.
I got down here at Ballpark Village at 5, went on stage at 5:15, did the pregame show from 5:15 to 6:30, go over to the stadium, walk up to the control room, get my orders for what I'm supposed to do, then do the bits that I do during the game, and then I'm done in typically about the end of the 6th inning.
Yeah.
Then come over here to Ballpark Village, set up my DJ stuff to DJ outside at Budweiser Brew House, and did that till about 11:15. Went home, got up this morning, came down here, picked you up. We're doing this podcast. Now I'm getting ready to go on stage here at 1:15. I'll do a pregame show. Normally would then go across the street, do the Cardinal game, and then DJ after. However, I'm not doing that because the game from its original 1:15 start is now a 3:15 start. Anyway, I'm leaving and going to go DJ a wedding.
Yeah.
Then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll do 11:15 pregame, do the 1:15 game, and DJ afterwards until about 6 or so.
Right. So
that's a couple days in the life.
Yeah, busy, but a lot of fun too. I'm sure. Yeah, but
it's been my life for so long. It's just I do it in my sleep.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, we go down. There was a night where, I don't know, you're doing trivia and you threw me a chip, some kind of 80s trivia or something, and I got the one you were tossing out, free chips.
Was it maybe name that tune or something?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
For knowing an answer,
yeah. But, this has been good, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming on. I'm glad, I feel special here in this little area here. I'll have to maybe take a picture of it or something.
Let's
put
do
it
it.
up. Yeah.
Shot.
Okay, but... All right. Well, thanks a lot for coming on. I got a little closing line because my son was like, I say this to people sometimes, but my son was like in kindergarten, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, I need like a closing line for the pod."
Hey, can I get mine first?
Oh, absolutely.
Hey, whatever you're gonna do it hard and make some noise.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Todd Thomas. That's that.